My siblings and I purchased my dad a wood lathe for Christmas. It's a hobby he's always wanted to get into, but never found the time. Now that he has a lathe and his birthday is around the corner, I'm going to build him a stand for it using scrap wood from my scrap pile. Is it going to work? I think so. Is it going to hold up to the vibrations a lathe puts out? That I'm not sure of, but I'm going to give it a shot and see how it turns out. The one we decided to go with is made by Win. It's model number 3421. It's an 8-inch lathe that I think is going to work well for him as a beginner. To help come up with the height of the stand, I found out you want the center of the piece you're turning just below the height of your elbow. So I snuck up to my dad one day with a tape measure, figured out how tall his elbow is, used Google SketchUp, and modeled my dad in a drawing to figure out exactly how tall the stand needs to be if he was standing in front of it. Let's get on with the build process. The stand itself is a pretty simple build. It's a lot of butt joints with a few angle cuts. So most of my cuts were done on the miter saw, but to do the angle cuts I used my table saw for more precision. Once I set up my table saw, I used my digital angle guide to set a 10-degree cut and then set the angle to that cut. Once I did that, all I had to do is cut the 4 legs with a 10-degree angle cut. Once I'm finished with that, I just head on over to the workbench, lightly sand all the pieces, and start the assembly process. The assembly process is pretty straightforward. Just wood glue and 3-inch screws. I was sure to pre-drill my holes just in case, to keep anything from splitting. And I just kept repeating the same process, glue and screw all the way around. So once I finished attaching all 4 legs, I flipped it over and attached the base pieces. This was pretty straightforward as well. I did want to center the base in between the legs and hold the same distance on both sides. Again, pre-drilling my holes and using 3-inch screws to drive everything home. Once I attach one side, I use a clamp on the other side just to hold the distance between the 2 legs. That way I can drive the screw in on the other side and keep that distance the same. So then it's just a simple rinse and repeat for the other leg. Now that the legs are finished up, it's time to add the horizontal pieces. I probably could have done a better job of coming up with a way to measure this distance from the bottom, maybe using a spacer block. However, I was just in the moment and was just using the tape measure. As you can see, I made quite a few adjustments. Now I need to add some supports to the top corners. So to do that, I put a level at the top and measure down to a board to make sure that it is square from the top, and then marked a piece of plywood to cut using the jigsaw. I screwed that in place and then repeated the same process on the other side. The last step is to add a little shelf to the interior, and I just hammered it in using some nails. So now it is time for a strength test. If it can hold me, I think it can hold the lathe. So here are a few Glamour pictures of the stand before I take it to my dad's. As you can see, I stained pieces that were not stained previously, and also pieces that were exposed after making cuts. Alright, I got her all finished up. Yesterday was my dad's birthday. Today we're going out to dinner with him, and I'm going to reveal it to him. So hopefully he likes it. Let's get it loaded up in the van. Dinner was great, and the lathe stand was a success. My dad loved it. Of course, we had to take the lathe and put it on top temporarily just to take some pictures. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time.